Hi, everyone. Happy Wednesday. Obviously, I am not able to do a live session with you today because I am proctoring the NWEA for makeups. So that's why you have this video instead, so you can make sure that you don't fall behind and you still get all the support you need to fully understand OMHS lesson 204, 2 lines and transversals. With that being said, if you have not already completed this OMHS lesson, stop watching the video right now, go back and complete the lesson, then watch this video afterwards because this is just like a whole group session. All right, our learning target for today is that you can determine the angles of parallel lines when cut by a transversal. That's a decent amount of vocab, so make sure you guys have that notebook paper and a pen or pencil handy so you can jot down all of these vocab words. So as you're doing the assignment, as you're watching this video, if ever I say a word and you don't remember what it is, you can look back at your notes until you have that new word memorized. All right, let's get started. First, let's quickly review the vocabulary that you learned from OMHS 202 and 203, and that was our live Class Connect session on Friday, January 29th. The vocabulary words and the different angle pairs that you learned last week were adjacent angles. Adjacent angles are right next to each other. So they're side by side, and what makes them next to each other is they share a side, in this case BC, and they share a vertex, B. Vertical angles. Vertical angles are opposite of each other. So we have A on this side and B on the other. One way to help you notice that they're vertical angles is notice that it makes that X. Or another way to kind of look at it is we have a double V. Let's see if I can draw that on there for you guys. So we have a V here for vertical, and then we have a second V here for vertical. So vertical angles look like that. An important thing to know is that vertical angles are congruent, and congruent is the geometry word for equal, which means both of these angles are equal. So if A is 20 degrees, B is also 20 degrees. Our third vocab word was linear pair. Linear pair are adjacent angles, so angles that are next to each other, but they're a special kind. They create a line. All right, and that's why it's named that, linear pair. It has the word line within it. The two angles together make a straight line. When you have a linear pair, they are also supplementary angles, so right below it. If you notice that two angles are supplementary, they're a linear pair, they're a straight line, which means they add up to 180 degrees. That's really important to know. Supplementary means they add up to 180 degrees. We can help ourselves remember that by turning this S, ooh, I should make my pen a little thinner, by turning this S into an 8. There we go, 100, and we're turning the U into an O, 180 degrees. Supplementary, straight line, they add up to 180. And our last one was complementary. If we have complementary angles, they create a right angle. And right angles add up to 90 degrees. Two ways we can know they're complementary is if I have that box in the corner, that box in the corner lets me know it's 90 degrees. Complementary angles. And just like with supplementary, we can help ourselves remember that by turning the C into a 9, and then the O stays an O, so 90 degrees. If that helps you remember, cool. If not, just a fun little trick. All right. Oh, now I'm struggling to get to the next page. Sorry about that, guys. Let me clear all of this, and we'll go to our next slide. Maybe. There we go. Okay. Now let's get into today's lesson, which is OMHS 204. 2 lines cut by a transversal. Let's break that down piece by piece. So first off, 2 lines. Looky here, we have line M and line N, 2 lines. Next, we have a transversal. At this point, all you need to know is that a transversal is a line that cuts through them. So notice that it intersects it, it goes through, it passes through my other 2 lines. So that right there is our transversal T. When that occurs, that transversal creates 8 different angles. Angle 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I had 8 different angles. What we're going to learn about today is the different angle pairs that this creates, all right? And there are 3 different types that we're going to cover. So 3 new pieces of information today. First off is when this happens, my very first set of angles that it creates are alternate interior angles. Let's break this word down. Let's break down this title. Alternate, well, if you're thinking about sports and you're an alternate, well, that means if the main player can't play or needs to take a break, you are the alternate. You will then replace them. So you're kind of opposites of each other, all right? So when we're looking for the alternate angles, they're on opposite sides of the transversal. So opposite sides of this transversal, the line that cuts through. All right, what does the word interior mean? Well, if it's the interior of a house, it's the inside of a house. That means if it's an interior angle, it lies on the inside of my 2 lines. We have 2 different angle pairs that fit this description. Angle 3 and angle 6 are alternate interior angles. They're alternate because they're on opposite sides. See how 3 is on the left side of my transversal and 6 is on the right side. And they're interior. They're both inside my 2 lines, M and N. And then 4 and 5 make another pair. So alternate, they're on opposite sides. One's here, it's on the top right. The other is down here at the bottom left. But they're still both on the inside of my 2 parallel lines. All right, we're going to learn more about them tomorrow on Thursday, but for right now, just being able to find them and get that vocab word down is the goal of today's lesson. So these 2 angles, 3 and 6, are alternate interior, and 4 and 5 are. Now we have alternate exterior. So very similar, only they're on the exterior, all right? So once again, alternate means they're on opposite sides, but if it's exterior, they're on the outside of my lines. All right, notice how our colors here are no longer on the inside, they're on the outside. 1 and 8 is our first pair. So 1 and 8 are alternate exterior angles because 1 and 8 are on opposite sides of my transversal. So that's this line right here. And they're both on the exterior. They're on the outside of my lines. And then in purple here, 2 and 7 are another set of alternate exterior angles. They're on the outside and they're opposite from each other. Okay? Let's visit our third and final type. And that would be corresponding angles. This one, the name doesn't match as obviously as the other 2. It doesn't stand out quite as much. But if we think of corresponding, you can do correspondence. So if we're emailing back and forth or you're sending letters, that's corresponding. You're communicating with someone else. Or if you're looking for someone that is, if we talk about a mall or a building that has multiple floors, you can have corresponding rooms, all right? So if we have, I don't know, GameStop up here at the top, which isn't really much of a thing anymore. And then on the second floor right beneath it is Bed Bath & Body. They're corresponding stores because they're in the same spot, but one's on the top floor, one's on the bottom floor. Okay, so they're corresponding, they have some sort of relationship. What that means for our picture here, what that means for our angles, is they're on the same side of the transversal. So those other two we did were on opposite sides. Corresponding, they're on the same side of my transversal. And they're in the same location on each line. So that's why, that's kind of down here goes to my example, same spot, different floor. Got GameStop up here, Bed Bath and Beyond, or Bath and Body Works, whatever I said. I already forget, oops, right down below. We have lots of these pairs. So in dark green, 1 and 5 are corresponding angles. So let's make sure they match. See how 1 and 5 are both on the left side of my transversal? And they're both in the same spot, but a different line. So 1 is on top of line M, and 5 is on top of line N. So they're same side, 1 is the top, 1 is the bottom. And then in orange, 3 and 7 are another set of corresponding angles. It's just they're on the bottom. So 3 and 7, they're both on the left. 3 is below line M, 7 is below line M. So they're corresponding. So same location, different, one's on top, one's on bottom. All right, in red, 2 and 6 are corresponding. So right side of the transversal now, notice how 2 is on the top, 6 is on the top. Those are corresponding angles. And then our last pair would be 4 and 8. 4 and 8 are both on the right, so they're on the same side of the transversal. 4 is on the bottom of line M, 8 is on the bottom of line N. All right. Now, I know that's a lot of information, but that's why we're practicing today. And then we're going to practice some more tomorrow so that way you can get these memorized, because this unit is a little bit more vocabulary based than it is typical math based. All right, let's do some practice. So I know we don't have the polling tool, but I'm going to give you guys a few seconds. Please try to answer all of these. Look at your notes, because even if you answer them and you get it wrong, you're at least thinking, and then you can listen to my explanation. All right, for all of these different pictures, we have 5 different choices. They can either be alternate interior angles, B, corresponding angles, C, alternate exterior angles, or they could be vertical angles, which we learned last week, or E, supplementary angles, which we also learned last week. So it could be 2 from last Friday or 3 from today. So take a look. We have 2 lines here, line A and line B. And then this time our transversal cuts this way. So it's spun, but it still creates those 8 angles. So look at X and Y. Think about what type of angles they are. For this first one and this first one only, I'm going to give you guys a hint. I'm going to walk you through what my brain thinks to figure this out. So that way you guys can do this too. All right, alternate interior angles. That means interior. They both need to be on the inside. If I go to look at what the inside is, that would be the inside of my 2 lines. So here, 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 and here. Are both of my angles on the inside? No, they're not, which means that is not an option. All right, corresponding. That definition was they're on the same side of the transversal, but different lines. So same side of the transversal. Are my X and Y on the same side? No, they're not. One's down here and one's on the other side. So corresponding can't be it. Alternate exterior angles. Exterior, they both have to be on the outside of my lines. So outside of my two lines would be here, 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 or here. Are both of them on the outside? No. So once again, it is not an option. All right, C, vertical angles. Vertical angles are opposite of each other, and that makes that X, so a double V. Do these fit that definition? I think they do. If I look a little bit closer, I can see that we have an X here, and we have one here. See how they're opposite of each other? Which means this is our winner. They are a set of vertical angles. Even though we've picked it, let's go through supplementary to help refresh our memory on what we're looking for supplementary. Supplementary angles need to be adjacent, so next to each other, and create a straight line. When I look at these two, they are not next to each other, nor do they create a straight line. So it cannot be E. All right, there we go, vertical angles. All right, let's try this one out. This one, go through those same steps that I just did. Look for those key things: interior, inside, corresponding, same side of the transversal, exterior, outside, vertical angles. They make that X, and they're opposite of each other. And last but not least, supplementary. They're adjacent, so they're side by side, and make a straight line. What are these two angles? Which vocab word matches that? All right, I'm going to reveal the answer, so if you don't have it figured out yet, pause. These two are alternate interior angles. Notice how they're both on the interior, so they're both inside my two lines. And they're alternate, they're on opposite sides of the transversal. One's here and one's down below. All right, next question. We have angle X and angle Y. What type are these? All right, time to reveal the answer. Pause if you need to. This is an example of corresponding angles. Corresponding are on the same side. So both the X and the Y are on top of our transversal, but they're in the same spot, just a different line. So X is on the right side of line A, Y is on the right side of line B. Therefore, they're corresponding angles. All right, next one. How about this one? Look at your X and your Y. What do you notice about them? All right, time to reveal the answer. Pause if you must. They are supplementary angles. So supplementary angles, remember, are side by side. They're adjacent and they create a straight line. So these two are next to each other and together they form a straight line. Therefore, they're supplementary and add up to how many degrees? 180. Next problem. We have X over here and Y here. What kind of angles are these? Are they inside, outside, same side, opposite of each other, or make a straight line? This is an example of alternate exterior angles. Your X and your Y are both on the exterior. They're on the outside of your two lines, line A and line B. And they're on alternate. They're on opposite sides of your transversal. X is down here, Y is up top. All right, there is an extra credit opportunity for you guys. There is a Nearpod matching game that I want you all to play. If you were not here on Friday and didn't get a chance to join Nearpod, the nice thing is it's pretty straightforward. It's kind of like how you would enter quizzes or Kahoot. Since this is done virtually and you can't click on the link, go ahead and just go to nearpod.com/student. When you do, a screen like this will pop up. Enter in this code to join the lesson, 75, capital F, 3, capital Z. When you hit join, a screen like this will appear. In order for you to get that extra credit, you need to make sure you enter your first and last name. Because if you don't enter your first and last name, I don't know who you are, and I can't award you the credit. Down below where it says other optional name, I don't need you to put anything there. That sometimes is placed there if, you know, teachers have different classes or different class periods, but you guys are all in the same. So I don't need you to put anything in that. Just enter your first and last name, hit join, and there will be a fun little matching game for you to practice these different angle pairs that we've learned today. I believe that is it, but let me double check. All right, yes it is. All right, guys, as always, if you have any questions, please reach out to me via email. Also remember that we will be going over this and just adding a little bit onto it during tomorrow, Thursday's lesson. And tomorrow on Thursday, I also will have that help session at 4 p.m. So because we won't be having small groups, just whole groups, please come to that if you need any assistance on any of these Unit 2 IXL assignments, and I'll be more than happy to help. All right, so please guys, do this Nearpod afterwards, and you've after earned that extra credit, go ahead and do today's IXL assignment, so that way you can know whether you need to join Thursday's help session, because that gives you a good idea of whether you understand it or you need to ask questions. All right, have an awesome day. See you guys tomorrow.